Wow, so that was a long build, well over an hour building this one, but I think it looks great. In this series we'll build each kit from the Fantasy Village set by Battlesystems, discussing any construction pitfalls and build mistakes as well as kit-specific build tips and possible conversions. Once everything is built, we'll test a variety of methods to colour the edges of the terrain and then finally conclude with an in-depth overall review video of the whole fantasy terrain set. Follow along and consider subscribing if that sounds like something you don't want to miss. If you haven't already, I recommend watching my introductory video to this series where I cover a few really key tips that will be relevant to this build and the others. So in this video we're going to build the biggest building out of the whole village set, which is the Tavern. It comes on 4 different sheets, of which we have 2 of sheet 1, 2 of sheet 2, 3 of sheet 3, and then 1 of the final sheet, sheet number 4. As per usual, we're going to follow the Battlesystems video guide. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do all this from memory, so I will be pausing the video and going back and checking out the instructional video, because yeah, this is going to be quite a complex build. As per usual though, I'll let you know if there's any things to look out for, any issues with the build over and above what you see in the Battlesystems video, and I'll try and sort of focus a little bit on the parts that are a bit more complex. So yeah, we'll get started as usual with the Battlesystems terrain and build the ground floor first. So the ground floor pieces, if I got this right, are all the ones with brickwork. So that's all these on sheet 1, these pieces on sheet 4. So flip those over, yeah, there's brickwork on the reverse, so they're the pieces I'm going to pop out first. 2 sheets worth of that, and these here. There's all the pieces that we're starting with on the ground floor. That's the pieces for the main part of the ground floor of the main building. Need a couple of L clips, cross clip, and a T clip. So I'm sure that I will get some of these in the wrong order and have to go back. But this video is going to be a bit longer than the others because, yeah, this tavern's going to be pretty humongous. So yeah, it might end up going a bit back and forward if I get some of these clips wrong, some of these pieces in the wrong position. That is one of the slightly annoying things about this terrain, is that it might be once you get to a bit later on that you realise that, you know, maybe like some steps are going to go up to the side and you haven't got a door on that side, you've got it on the other side, and things like that. First world problems though, you know, it's not the end of the world, is it? Okay, so I decided what I'm going to do with these is build the put the windows and the doors in position once the structure's been built. I am noticing as well, like obviously you can have, depending on which side you slot in furthest into the L clip or the T clip or whichever of these clips really, you might end up with a slightly skew building. So for example here you can see that on the front these 2 pieces sit inside this one here, and then it's the other way around there, which makes the building not completely square. So to change that, make sure those are right in first. You can sort of tell when you look at it, it wasn't square, so now that's square. There we go, so pop the doors in. Actually, that is one thing to note. I wanted to be able to look through the whole building, but I just realised that with these doors, they are really only meant to bend one way, so front door looks fine. If you look through to the rear doors, where I bent them backwards, they actually tear a little bit. Not the end of the world. I think I will bend them back the other way though. Going to end up putting some of these in the wrong position. I guess it isn't really a wrong position, you could put them either way around, and it does mean that you've got, like, you know, that's clearly artwork for the outside of the building, and then you're in the tavern and you've got artwork for the outside of the building again, to allow the doors to open through both ways, you know, to open through in the same direction, you know, so you can imagine people walking in through the tavern, and so I think the bar is going to be in this area. So then you've got an inside piece of artwork here, which will then be inside the second building. So, you know, that's just kind of one of those little things you've got to put up with a a terrain system like this where you've got printing on both sides, I'm totally fine with that. You know, there's no reason to think that one of these rooms on the tavern wouldn't have been built at a later date, so it would have been built sort of on the outside of what was the pre-existing building, so you know, that's fine. Okay, continuing with the ground floor, we need the shorter piece with 2 windows, and then the longer and the shorter piece with a door and a window. And we want to use the T-clip this side, so that then we've got these 2 points are floating here, because obviously something else is going to be attached this side here. So that's the back. So straight away, yes. So the question then is, like, which side does the door go? I'm going to put the door this side on the basis that something else is going here. So there would need to be a door for it. Let's see if that logic works out or not. Another quick change here. So basically what I'm doing is rechecking the Battlesystems video as I move from step to step, because it is a complex piece. And they've got this piece the other way around. So that makes sense, because we know from these 2 clips here that there's going to be some kind of extension. And it's talking about having this as an internal wall on this side of the building. I don't think it probably makes much difference, but I'm going to follow along like the official way to build this, just to make sure that if I'm going to review the product at the end, I want to make sure I've sort of followed along with it properly. You know, if some of this doesn't fit together properly and it's because I've done it in the wrong position, or it doesn't quite look right, then I want to make sure it's not really my fault. So that means we do end up again with an outside wall on the inside, but I'm totally fine with that. Okay, now we will move on to the next section. Okay, let's see if we can build this extension here right first time. So we got all the remaining wall pieces. We know from previous videos that the bit with the rafters on will usually go at an end, and you put the clips on it first. So L clips on this. We go long ones first, then short ones, then the end. Now I'm going to put the door this side because that's the side they had it on the video. So pop that there. So open that window up while we're here. Quite a considerable size structure here, so bigger than the blacksmith's forge that we built. Pretty sturdy, that. Okay, so that's the ground floor built. Okay, so we're going to build the first floor now. Everything we need should be on sheet 3 of 4, and then a little bit on sheet 4 of 4. Just keep these up the right way, because it is easy to pop these out if we have them. If we pop them down through on the side that has the printed descriptions, back out that way. They seem to pop out easier. So on the first floor pieces, all the wall pieces, the small wall pieces, and this final wall piece. Pop those out. Oh, and clips wise, 10 of those, 3 of the T-clips, 2 of the straight ones. When I saw we needed 10 of these, I was starting to worry that I might run out of brown clips. So once we've built the tavern, we'll see what we got left out of our 2 pots of brown clips. Okay, so got all these pieces off to the side here. 3 first floor pieces. Just need 2 of them to start with. One of the things on the Battlesystems video that they don't show all that well is where this is going to go on the building to help you visualize it. So this main first part of the upper floor that we're going to build will end up sitting on the building around about here. So that's going to be the main part of the building. Then there's going to be like a, I'm going to say patio, not a patio, like a outdoor barn sort of space here. And then this bit won't have a floor like this. It'll have a small roof here. So your big roof here, small bit on the end of the building here, and another small bit of the building here. So just to help you sort of visualize what we're actually building now. We'll start with these 2 pieces together, straight clip to put them on, and then we want L clips all the way around, except for, go back to visualizing the building, it's going to be here. We're going to have extra parts of the building. These 2 will put the T clips. And we'll find out as we go along if I've actually got that right or not. I think that's right, so let's see. Okay, so kind of got that right, but wrong in so much as obviously that T-clip needs to face out that way, as does this one. Okay, now if we remember that we've got this goes here, and there's going to be like a decking area around the side here. That means we want to have the door this side so that there's somewhere to get out and walk around the decking to this upper barn type thing that's going to go on here. So make sure the door goes there, and then we want to build the rest of the side pieces first. We'll do that now using mainly these L clips. We've got one T-clip that side because there's going to be some internal walls that are fixed to this T-clip. So let's build these. Okay, so you can see that I remembered to put the L clips fully onto the end piece first before attaching the side pieces on both ends, and then we have a building that's actually the right shape. I'm going to fit this over the top here now. Yeah, that's how that's going to sit. We'll end up with a, as I said, small roof over here, like an extra barn type thing here, big roof on the top of the building, little walkway around the side, and some steps that come down. So yeah, you can see that it's going to be a big building. Okay, so the next thing to do is build the internal wall structure in here. One of the things to keep in mind, so you can kind of have the artwork facing in different directions depending on the look you're going for, but bear in mind that doors and windows are really meant to be opened in one direction. I don't think we actually need all of these pieces, so that wall piece is spare, so that's good because I've got some village ruins, so I can use that on my village ruins set. And I think that some of these internal pieces might end up being spare as well, because for this, all we need is 2 door pieces and 1 non-door piece. They've got these weird cuts out of them so that they can fit over this centre beam here, this centre clip. So these are quite straightforward. So because this is going to be inside the building, I'm going to use the grey clips, and that kind of works fine because they're against white walls as well. That's why we've got a T-clip there, so that can fit in. The straight beam, the straight clip in the middle, was underneath where the little tab was out of the door there. So we'll put a L clip on there, L clip on here, and we're going to have the other door there. Pop that on, and then that should just fit. It sort of slides in behind that clip there, so just sort of slide it in there, pop it down. It's actually pretty solid. So there's the internal structure of the first floor of the tavern. That'd be quite cool for some role-playing games or little skirmish games where you can kind of go into the tavern, sort of see around some of the corners, but not all of them. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we just need to add the final piece of first story floor on the end there. Pretty straightforward. And then, as we foreshadowed, there's going to be a railing that goes all the way around the building here. So we need 1 straight clip on the front there, which then gives us 2 points here, and we can pop that to one side. And we need to take off everything off of sheet 2 and sheet 3. That is referred to as being a balcony. So you've got balcony pieces, balcony piece here, balcony clip, the other balcony clips there, and then more balcony piece here. Okay, so we've got 3 long balcony rails, 2 short ones, 2 balconies, 5 balcony clips, but I think we only need 4, so I'm going to pop one of them to the side for now. So what we're going to have is the balcony walkways are going to go here, so we'll pop those in now. And then we'll have railings, so there. Okay, so just double checking it, we have the balcony set up like this, so there's another spare piece there. So we start off with the taller pieces, pop those in, They're actually going quite far, by the way, so the top of this slot that we just put in meets the top of the fence posts here. So just make sure they're all right in. Okay, there we have it. Could do with the brace there. I'm not quite sure why I've built a clip into there. That would make that a bit stronger, but it seems okay. So like with the townhouse, the top portion overhangs the side and the back of the bottom piece, like a Tudor house. Yeah, that's starting to really take shape. I like the look of that. These railings sort of hang down over the balcony, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so the only sort of slight criticism on that piece is maybe some kind of join between those two would have been helpful. Because, you know, if you've got a heavy metal miniature on there, for example, that's quite flexible. Fortunately, you can't use a straight clip to do that. So that might be one of those situations where I'll glue on a piece of the spare cardboard links underneath just to strengthen that up. So you know what, I'm actually going to put a bit of glue on this now. These bits popped out of the railings here, so I'm going to pick out a couple of the longer pieces there. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to glue them across here. I'm going to do it in a way which is reasonably modular so that if I do decide to take this railing off, it's not glued onto the main part of the building here. Just use some fairly strong tacky PVA. I could use super glue, I suppose, if I wanted it to set quicker. But what I will do is I'll take this piece off. I also want to glue a bit on there as well, so let me think about the best way of doing this. So I think actually we need to do this in stages, so let's take those off, flip those over, and we'll just glue those together first. That'll be underneath, you won't see that. But that should provide a nice bit of strength to the decking there. I'm going to carefully now take that over to one side, let that set. First you work all this terrain building. Have a beer while we're making the tavern. Seems quite fitting. It's taken quite a while actually, so I'm about half an hour in already. Okay, so we're now moving onto the roofs. Now, in the Battlesystems video, they pop out every single roof piece for what is basically 3 different roofs that we've got on the main structure. On the structure, you've got the main roof, small porch, I'm going to call that a porch, then you've got the side roof over here. I'm going to find it easier, I think, and I think you guys at home will probably find it easier if we build them one at a time. So to start with, we're going to do the little front porch. So that's basically the roof with the sign outside the front of the pub. So for that we need this small one here. It's just called gable. It's the one with the built-in roof clip. So we'll pop those out, and we want the smallest roof, which is this one here, on 2 sheets. And then the only other thing we want off sheet number 4 is the sign. So let's pop those out. Okay, so quite straightforward this piece. Bend the roof like normal, i.e. a little bit. It's the only roof I've found so far that has these clips built into the apex. So pop that on. Now that's pretty tight there. Let's just see if it goes on okay before we snip it. Yeah, that's kind of okay. I'll get away with that. I've mentioned it quite a few times now in these videos, I prefer it to be tighter than not. Yeah, the apex kind of sorts out the bend of the roof for you in a way. And then the sign over the front. Just seeing if it goes around a particular way, but I don't think it does. Yeah, just don't push that down onto the table, you'll be bending the roof. Usual thing, hold the back, some backwards pressure when you're putting this top bar down. That is very tight there actually. Ah, that's too tight there. Okay, yeah, so that's that. That's too tight. Yours might not be tooled quite the same way, but yeah, look at the difference between that one and that one. We'll just trim that out a little bit. Mentioned in other videos, if you're using a scalpel, just be really careful. Seems obvious, but you need to put quite a bit of force on this to cut through, and it's the kind of thing where if you cut yourself, you're going to cut yourself quite bad. So if you're not confident using a scalpel, just use some straight edge snippers like we do in the Battlesystems video. That's probably more user friendly if you're not confident using a knife. Oh, that's still tight. Okay, that's going on there, that's fine. Okay, pretty sweet. Yeah, that's good, I like that. Yeah, that actually looks really cool. And with those gables, you don't get the roof flopping about quite as much as you do on the standalone roofs. Probably won't bother putting anything else in there glue-wise. Probably won't bother with any extra struts because those gables sort of do the job keeping the roof in the right position. Okay, so we're going to construct the main roof now. So we need sheet 2 of 4 and sheet 1 of 4. Your main gables, your roof bar, and there's 2 of those. Roof ridge, sorry, but you only need 1 of them obviously. And then high roof clips, makes sense. So let's punch these out. If you're watching that thinking, why has he punched out 4 of those instead of 2? Good question. You don't need those. Okay, so we need a couple of straight clips. So I want the cables on the ends, obviously. Pop those windows out. The roof is built in the same way that all these roofs are built, which is to bend them back a little bit at a time. Before we do that though, we need to decide if we want the dormer roof and the chimney both on the same side, which I do, so I'm going to punch out the dormer window holes and the chimney holes on one roof piece. Don't go through and punch them all out, unless you've got spare sets and you've got, maybe a dormer window for both sides, which I haven't, so. Watching the main Battlesystems videos, see the guy, I believe that's Colin, who is doing the videos, got really long fingernails on one hand, so he's either a guitar player or he has those long fingernails specifically for punching these out, and that would be quite handy to be fair. I don't know whether he'll see this video, but if he does, he can let me know if either of those theories are correct. So yeah, it's going to bend these back a little bit. Usual thing, less is more at this stage. You can add a bit more curve in afterwards if need be, but it's hard to take it back. Well, it's not hard to take it back, you can bend it back, so don't panic if you do overbend it a little bit. Okay, so yeah, these are scored all the way through, so you have to be careful. I want to be really careful that I don't accidentally pop those out. I don't want a big dormer-sized hole. Oh, just like that, as I was saying it. Oh, bloody hell, yeah, that is actually really, you've got to be really careful there. I'm going to do that on the edge of the table. Yeah, I'd recommend just doing that bit over the edge of the table just so you don't accidentally pop that out. Okay, so usual thing, clips on. Ah! No, we do need those. There's four slots. Okay. Okay, yeah, usual thing. These are very tight. You know what? Some of these bits are just too tight. Already it's just sort of like a tenth or a couple of tenths of a mil too tight. I'd say it's kind of annoying really when you're sort of paying for the kit to be done right, but on the flip side, I'd always prefer that it was a couple of tenths out on that side, i.e. too tight, than too loose, because if it's too loose, not much you can do about it. Yeah, I probably should have put that side in first. So if you're doing this and you're sort of following along and you're watching my videos before you build this tavern, definitely a bit of advice, put the side in that you are leaving the dormer closed on. Put that in first because it'll be easier to handle and get in properly. I'm going to persevere and just see how it goes.
So my main gaming buddy Jeff, he's mentioned that he's watched a few of these videos and really doesn't like it when he hears the creaking sound of all the cardboard going together. Stresses him out a bit, so I'm going to cut this bit in for him here.
Okay, so you saw me struggling with that a little bit. It was all a little bit too tight. That's kind of my fault. I could have trimmed it down a little. Got a little bit of a gap there still, but honestly I'm not that fussed because that'll fit the top ridge there will cover that. So what I would do differently though is to trim those holes a little bit more. So I recommend that you do have a good look at those and trim them out a little bit if you think they're going to need it. Yeah, because it would be quite easy to damage that. Managed to get through without accidentally popping that out, so that's good. Now we're going to pop the top piece on. Before I do that, I can see straight away those two look okay. That one and that one are too narrow, so I'm just going to cut those a little bit. So it's going to be unlikely that you'll have pieces that are too narrow and in exactly the same places as the set I've got, unless yours got die cut out like immediately after mine. But from watching the Battlesystems video and my own experience here, these roof pieces are one of the areas where they do sometimes need trimming. Yeah, okay, that looks pretty cool. Obviously we could just put it on here and see if it fits, so we'll do that first. I can't not put it back on here properly and see what it looks like. Okay, that's really starting to take shape now. That's really nice. So I think what we'll do now is build the dormer and the chimney. Now, I'm not going to rewatch the video. I'm going to see if I can remember how to do it. Okay, so we want sheet 4. Got dormer roof, dormer section, and the chimney. Chimney is quite straightforward. It's just a case of carefully going around, turning this into something of a cube, a rectangle. I remember this before actually on one of the other houses. If you're not careful, when you go around like that, this piece starts lifting away, so it's probably worth, if you had a ruler, you could lay a ruler flat there and lift it over. What I'm going to do is take it to the edge of the table. That basically is the chimney. It's got 2 hooks there, it needs to hook in to the roof. Definitely, I recommend taking the roof off to do this piece. Okay, that's basically it. So that is one of the limitations of the design of this card terrain, not the actual designs that they use here from Battlesystems, but when you've got a very pointy piece like this, so and you've also got a score and a fold, you've got almost no sort of structural support down here because it comes to a point here. So as you're bending it round, where the printed area sits onto the boxy board, the harder bit in between, or the bit that bulks it out, it starts to pull away a little bit because there's not much sort of area there where it's laminated or glued together, however they build it in the factory, not Battlesystems, however it's built when it's printed. So that's just one of those areas where if you are going to go around and sort of pen in some of the edges at some point, these bits will benefit the most from you doing that. But anyway, let's have a look at the dormer window. Small score there as well, so that'll need to bend up there. Okay, so you can see how this is going to work. It's going to clip into the chimney like the chimney did. We just need to put the roof on first. We also need this roof clip here. As I was looking for the pieces, just to double check what I needed, I had a quick look at the Battlesystems video again, and they recommend putting this section in first, so I will do that. Same process as the chimney. Yeah, okay, so you've got these two are obviously some kind of like retainers. They sit inside the building, so you're going to want to angle that in a bit first, I think. Easier to hold it upside down, I find in here. Okay, that looks right, so if we hold it like that, that seems about right. Usual thing, don't overbend these. Oh, duh. Okay, so tell you what, we'll put them on the right way around instead. See there, that's too tight. Oh, I hear that creaking. That is really tight. In through there. Drop it on. Okay, that is looking pretty cool. Yeah, that's neat. Okay, so there's a few more things to do. There's the floor pieces. Now, I'm going to skip those because the way this is designed is that it kind of just sits on the floor pieces. But I think what I'm going to want to do is glue them in. I think it'll give it some more stability, and as long as you're not intending to break it down completely for storage, gluing the floors in will be fine. So you can maybe keep it modular, so you keep that bit separate, but with the floors glued in. So I'm going to avoid doing the floors now. There's a bar that's going to sit in the upper section, I think. So I'm going to build the bar, and I'm going to build some steps that go up to the little balcony thing. I'm not going to glue in at the moment some of this heraldry, but you've got things like a wall banner and a shield, a little sign, little bits and bobs like that that you can glue onto the walls inside the tavern. So I'm going to be mainly using this for sort of games like Frostgrave, or maybe some sort of Warhammer, or Warhammer Fantasy Battle, or maybe some Kings of War, some other games maybe as well, where it's really going to be the outside of the building that I'm going to be looking at, not too much going on inside the buildings. So I don't know if I'll even use those pieces, but yeah, I probably will glue them in at some point. So yeah, let's get on and do the other small bits that finish this build off. Just going to build the bar quickly. Okay, lots of small half cuts here, so you need to sort of make that go around to the same shape as the bar. That's going to plug into there. Back in there. Apparently that's a little bar bell for dinging on the bar. I'm going to leave that off. I'm not too keen on that piece. I mentioned that this goes in the upper floor, which obviously it doesn't. It's a pub. The bar on the ground floor. It goes in here. That totally makes sense actually, yeah. So whichever way you come in, your beers are right there ready. Yeah, nice little feature there inside the pub. That is everything that I'm going to do inside now. Put that back on. I'm going to punch out the staircase now from sheet number 2 of 4. Okay, so there's enough here for 2 sets of stairs. Now these are kind of almost like scatter terrain really, but like the lake house, I think it really finishes off the building, so I'm going to build them. And then once we've built the staircases, the final thing is the sort of barn roof at this end, so let's get these done. The big step at the top, going in backwards, and the small steps from the front. Okay, so as I'm building this, there's only 2 spare steps there. I need to check through the rest of the sheets, but I think that's it. And then I also noticed this larger step, so possibly that would go there. Let's pop that on. I got a feeling that would be the right one to put on. And we'll just pop that to one side, and we'll have a look at that again when we're finishing up. Okay, we're going to build a little roof barn that fits on the edge of the building here now. So this actually comes over a few different sheets. I've got the roof ridge, and the pieces marked extension, and then the roof pieces. And also these roof clips. So this is really similar to all the other roofs we built, and I think it's pretty much the same as the outbuilding. A couple of L clips. And the roof like normal, bend it a little bit. yeah, these top bits I can see that they're very tight, so I'm just going to trim those off a little bit now. We just go back to this piece that I glued together. I need to put a straight clip on there again. Now, it's pretty much dry, but not quite, so let's see if this has some more stability. Put it in the right place might help. That's much better. Definitely worth doing that. I can put that back on, and that back on. Yeah, I might glue those together at some point. That roof goes under there. Steps could go there. That does make sense to have that top step on there. Or at the end. So there was a second set of steps here with not enough pieces. I'm just going to go back through the sheets and double check that I wasn't missing those. Definitely not enough steps to finish that off. I'm wondering if maybe we can use the top step piece on here. And we've got these, what are the normal top steps from the ladders if they weren't to go onto here. I'm going to pop one of those on the bottom. I think it's meant to go there, but that'll be fine. Do the same on the next one up. Might find that these are pieces that are meant to use on some other scatter terrain, but for now they're going to go on here because I really want this to have two sets of steps. I think that's going to look cool. This reminds me of the lake house build with this sort of balcony around the edge. I think it really adds a 3D nature to it. So if you're playing on the table, your models could go underneath. They could be sort of underneath here. That would be really cool. So here's the main tavern, really the centerpiece of the village. I made a few small modifications. So built the steps, they look good. Really adds to the feel of the whole piece, like the Lake Town house that I mentioned earlier, with this sort of walkway around the side. I really like that because things can go underneath it. Once it's on an actual battlefield with some other terrain around it, it's going to look really fantastic. So move the steps out of the way. I'll show you the little modifications that I made. Really quite straightforward. No changes to the main structure. Decided that I'd glue this piece together. This is very similar, or actually the same, as the outbuilding. It's basically the same thing with slightly different coloration. So all the same tooling as far as I can tell. The difference is that this one comes with a floor and this one doesn't. So what I decided with this was that if we're going to be moving models onto the tavern and we need to take the roof off this, we may as well just take the whole barn structure off if there's going to be some action going on in here. So quite straightforward to glue this roof on here. You've got a couple of extra supports which Battlesystems name something like roof support or extra support or something like that. There's some strips of card here which are basically like wooden beams, one on either side. So all I did with that was place the legs onto the roof to work out where the beams need to go. PVA glue the beams onto the roof, put this back in place while the PVA was still wet to check that it was all in the right position, and then take it out, let those beams set completely, then put the legs back in so that you can sort of squeeze them in so there's a nice tight fit, and then just glue everything together, peg it together if you need to, and yeah, now that's totally solid. The other modification was to fix this walkway and this fence that was all that fence was sort of not fitting together very well, it was all wobbly, and this here was, if you'd have put heavy models across here, that would have started bowing downwards. So a really simple fix on that. A couple of bits of scattered terrain, so glued one bit of scattered terrain across the front of the fence here, glued another piece across the back. So there's the piece on the back, piece across the front. Now we can still take that off and that'll still store on its own, but that's solid now. With a big model like this as well, this terrain, it's modular, but it kind of goes together in the right order. So the roof needs to go under there, this goes on, then the roof goes on. Yeah, I think that looks really good. And way stronger now.
Wow, so that was a long build, well over an hour building this one, but I think it looks great. It's definitely going to be the centerpiece on my table. So let's have a look at the finished tavern on the tabletop amongst the rest of the terrain. Next week we're going to build a few smaller pieces of terrain. We're going to build the bridge, the well, and just one of the carts, a sort of medium-sized piece of scattered terrain. The bridge in particular I think looks really cool, so definitely stay tuned for that one. I know this one was a long video, but there was quite a lot to cover, so let me know what you thought, especially if you're building along. So if you've got any build tips, add them to the comments. Other people hopefully will find that really interesting and useful.